Hear my
Yeah, we can do like atheism. It's not gonna be like good faith though.
We can do atheism.
But when I say atheism, I mean atheism versus theism. Or we
Um,
compare to or something like that.
well, I'm not an atheist.
Are you agnostic?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
This is
just
so
giving argument for
boring.
theism, bro.
I don't
Yeah.
have an argument for theism on hand, bro. And I don't think
What's
any of them are really good.
oh? So then, why do you believe in God?
Personal experience.
Oh, wow.
Wait, okay.
She's the fucking just use miracles, bro.
Do you not have like another topic which you normally do?
I mean, I mean, I don't. I have like fringe views on like all the other topics that people typically do.
Wait, I think I've seen you like defend theism before. Do you want to like do that?
Defend theism, sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay, but do you define God as?
We could just say like a being with the triomny properties.
Okay, do you take it that he has agency?
Yeah.
Do you take it that he's? Do you take it that he's concrete?
It depends how you're defining concrete.
I just mean like causal. Just like being able to interact with the causal chain.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Let me just like see this argument. I mean, do you take it that? I mean, do you take it that God's necessary? I mean, do you take it that? First, I just want to ask this like first as a clarifying question. Do you take it that there's going to be like a necessary link between concrete and abstracta?
Well, I never say God was necessary, by the way.
Oh, my fault. Do you take it that God's necessary?
Well, I don't take the view, but I'm gonna be running like fine tuning or something.
Yeah. Okay. So for the debate, do you want to take that view?
Which view?
That God's necessary.
No, not for fine tuning. No.
Bro, oh my goodness, bro. Like the arguments I have only works if you're taking that he's necessary. You know, let's do this. What if I deny your conceptual schema?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Just
So what
deny
I mean,
it like an analytic truth.
no. What I mean by conceptual schema is like, I guess you could say like the set of pre-theoretic notions you have before you even enter like a particular discourse, right? So like, and I assume you know what pre-theoretic means, right?
I mean, yeah, sure. I guess.
Like, yeah. So like, I guess you could say like your meta-epistemological view, right? Your meta-ontological view, right? Why should we even adopt those within inside of our set schema, right?
I never said you should adopt my views.
Comedy.
But I mean, when you're even making like an argument, right? When you're saying, like, let's say you say, okay, well, God exists, you have like the fine tuning argument, right? That supposes some sort of reasoning standards there, right? And it has some sort of conceptual ethics. Like, let's say I like posit like P1, the universe is fine tuned. No, if the universe is fine tuned, then it's likely that God exists, right? That supposes some sort of reasoning standards, and that I should adopt those set of reasoning standards to come to this sort of conclusion when we're having a discourse.
So I never said you should do anything. I mean, it depends how you're defining should.
I just mean like what we typically mean by should, like in a normal sense. Like, you could say like to progress the discourse, or like we have like an obligation to accept these because they're gonna be like true or something like that.
I mean, it depends, like, obviously under, like, the system, right? But if we're doing, like, a good faith linear conversation, right? And, I mean, doing this sort of, like, anime debating tactics where you address, like, the very foundations of reasoning itself, like, I mean, that's sort of, like, not progressing anything in the dialectic, right? So...
presumably it would be, right? Because it seems that given like the centers of reasoning, which we would uphold, then you say that there was no good. No, I'm not
what
arguing
standards of reasoning.
Yeah, so like, wait, I didn't finish what I was saying. We're saying like, given different standards of reasoning, we could say like there's gonna be like different arguments which should be like quote unquote valid or which should go through, right? Like for example, like you could be like an epistemological realist and take it that okay, well, like if I could state an argument, right, that we can like verify that. We could say like, give us some sort of epistemics or reasons which have it would be actually valid. Or if you're like in an epistemic relativist, you could say that's gonna be different, right? All of this is gonna be relative. When I say a belief is justified, it's gonna be relative to like my system or something like that. So like, justify would be different in that sense. So I mean, I think it very much will be relevant.
Okay, so what would be your view then?
I mean, like I'm just like, well, I mean, I asked for your view. I mean, this is like seemingly British shifting.
No, it's not, because um, if I'm able to prove God using your view, then we don't even have to debate on worldviews, right? Well, seemingly, like, in reference to like meta epistemology or whatever, we don't have to debate on that, right? If I just accept your view, then we wouldn't have to. So what would be
If
your
you
view?
if you accept my, well, again, I mean, that seems to like suppose like some sort of standards of reasoning there. Like I have like an
Right.
obligation to, I guess you could, yeah, I'll explain now. That like I have like an obligation to like show you, I guess you could say, my worldview, because it would be good for a dialogue or something like that. Which, if you remember, that was the entire thing I questioned. Why should I accept these sort of obligations inside of your scheme or stuff like that?
I mean, I could do the same thing, like, right, when you're questioning my questions, like that presupposes a standard, right? So I could just ask the same thing and we go in a fucking circle all day.
But
Or we could
but if
just
you mean,
like or we could just like honestly progress the dialogue, and we could just run the argument, right? Because I haven't even presented the argument and you're already just wanting to address like the theory of argumentation or whatever. Like, I mean,
yeah, because
if
it's inherently relevant. Like you
it's
seemingly
it's
agreed
it's
that it's going
really
to be
not.
relevant.
It's really
I
like
mean,
I know a lot of people like Flo or whoever, they might want to like always go to like the theory of argumentation like that. That's what a lot of anime debaters do, right? But like, if we're being so honest, like, the argument is about fine tuning. It's not about addressing like the meta level concerns, right? Because a lot of them, a lot of the time, they're not even really contentious, right? So if you want to just like move on to the
no,
the actual
no, no.
debate, then it's
No,
fine.
I think this is a part of the actual debate, and I already gave reasoning why. Seemingly you didn't contest it. I mean, I
Well, when
agree.
you give
Wait,
your
wait,
reasoning, you're already
Embers,
presupposing a
bro.
standard
Come
of
on.
reasoning. So
wait. I just want to like say real quick and address into the other point, and then I want you to repeat what you said like right then. But I mean, like most people, yeah, they would like agree when they're talking about like they would talk about like the object level of the plane. Like if they're talking about like fine tuning, they probably like just stay on that. But like when it starts to get different is like when you have people with like, let's say, who have like opposing different standards, or like who are, I guess you could say, like asking, okay, why should I like even accept these standards? It doesn't seem like right to me. Like the example I give, like an epistemological relativist and epistemological realist. Most people are epistemological realists, I would say, right? So they probably don't even have an issue with saying, okay, well, like there's sort of like actual like justificatory notions outside in the real world, which I can like appeal to and say my argument is therefore justified, right? But if you have like someone who's like a relativist about epistemology, they would say, well, it's all relative, right? So like so like there's X which can be justified under one schema, there's X which can be justified under Y schema, right? There's no like objective like thing which is like more justificatory than Y thing, right? So when
depends
so
what you
like
mean by justification.
yeah, obviously, but what I mean, well, I mean, yeah, but that just gets into like the object level of epistemology. What I'm trying to talk about,
No.
yeah, what I'm more so trying to talk about is like, let's say they have like this neutral understanding of like the object level, right? And then they talk about the meta, where they say, okay, well, we know what justification means, right? But now they want to like progress to say, okay, well, is this argument justified? The relativist will say, obviously, yeah, because it's just going to be justified relative to this person's schema, right? The realist will say, well, no, it isn't going to be justified because like there's this objective concept of justification out there.
Depends. Well, what do you mean by justified in that sentence?
Well, it doesn't really. Well, the object level doesn't really matter, as I already expressed. Like you could take like any view on this.
Well, the semantics of like, is this going to be justified? That definitely matters, right? When you're talking
But
about
wait,
justification, the theories of justification matter. Like, what you mean by justification matters.
well, obviously, like the relativist would take it as it's just gonna be like dependent upon like the scheme, for example. Like,
I'm not saying
but
what other people think. Like, I'm asking, what do you mean by justification?
what do I mean?
Yes.
I mean I don't have like this like particular well fleshed out view. I don't have like things I want to like commit myself to on my scheme, which I would have to like then justify. I'm more so like agnostic upon like particular matters. That's why like you're on the affirmative here, like with theism.
Well, you realize when you ask your questions, you're already asserting your semantics into the question.
I'm asserting my semantics.
into the question.
But what do you mean there? Like I'm posing my question embedded with like my semantical view.
Yeah,
Like I'm supposing my metalinguistical view.
with
Is that
the
what you mean?
semantical content of the words, yeah, that
Well,
you're
I
deciding.
mean, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, we're like, but you seemingly are too. Like the reason why we are
Yeah.
able to do that in a discourse, yeah, the reason why we're able to do that in like a discourse, and isn't gonna be like as bad as let's say like all these like other sort of meta commitments is seemingly because when we have like two schemes, they're able to interact solely because of the interaction power they have like due to the meta linguistical, I guess you could say framework. We have a shared meta linguistical framework, so we're able to interact to some extent. But like the other things, right, we might not share that, for example. I'm agnostic upon those. But for us to even have a discourse, which is supposed that we're already having right now, we'd have a shared meta linguistical framework. So seemingly I'm not really committed to anything like deep. Like when I like say, when I'm like asking a question or something like that, and it's embedded with semantics.
Okay. So, do you want to? I don't know. Like, what do you want? What do you want to do now? Like, how do you
Uh
want to progress the debate?
so I mean, I think you asked you said something like before I like replied to all you said. I mean, I asked you, could you repeat it at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I guess like you went. I could just say the same thing about you in that. Okay, when you're giving your reasons, you're already presupposing like a standard or framework for reasoning itself. So then you'd
Um
also have to justify that.
I'm supposing it's
If it's the case that I have to. Yeah.
well, no, I mean, I don't think you can like point me to like where I like, I guess you could say, use like some sort of like odd standard of reasoning, which isn't gonna be like, I guess you could say, just like cast out under my like metapistemological scheme, which I already talked about. Like, if you could like point me to that, it would be fine.
Repeat the last part.
I said if you could like point me to that, that would be fine. You're talking about
I don't know, bro. I'm just saying uh like you're sort of well asking for a justification. Like it could go both ways then, right? If you're saying, okay, well, you're already presupposing this framework or standard of reasoning when you're making like these inferences, right? I mean, you'd seemingly be doing the same thing, so
No, that was already attacked like with the last thing with the meta-linguistical framework, right? All it's doing, I'm just like asking like questions. It's gonna be like the type of same thing, but it's like the reasoning thing. So that was the entire point of like what I went on about before.
well,
Um,
you're asserting things. You're not just asking questions, right?
but what are the assertions that like will commit me to something deep?
Well, whenever you state a proposition, that's an assertion. Do you not think you've stated a proposition in this whole dialectic?
I mean, it depends upon your theory of propositions. Like if you're like, um, like
Okay. We can't be serious. It depends on my theory of propositions, really.
um,
Let's be so honest here. Do you think the extensional content of of the word propositions is going to be like extremely distinct from like it's going to be extremely distinct from a theory of proposition to propositions?
yeah,
Really?
because like yeah, you could be like I think it was called, I forgot what it was called exactly. You could be like a representational realist, and that could be different from like a representational anti-realist or a representational relativist. Yeah.
That doesn't matter, right? I'm saying, do you think the extensional content of the word is going to be extremely distinct?
What do you mean by exceptional content?
Just what I guess you could say what the word applies to, or I guess if you want if you want me to break it down very easily.
No, I understand.
Okay,
Do you mean like the referent of the word?
you could say that.
Okay. Yeah, because like in one case, when you're like a representationalist, you could say that these propositions actually have like representational power, like they represent something in the world, right? But if you're an anti-representationalist, that would obviously be different because you wouldn't say that they're actually going to be like representation of the world, so they aren't going
Well,
to be like cognitive.
well, that doesn't matter, right? It as long as like the extension or like the referent is going to be like extremely similar, right? Like you could say under one theory of propositions, let's take like theory A and then like theory B, whatever. We would say, okay, they're trying to capture this sort of notion that maybe things that are only able to be true, like statements that are only able to be true, they're trying to capture like all of those into like a definition or something, right?
Well, I
So,
mean,
what they're trying to capture or the referent itself is going to be very similar, right? That's the whole goal in trying to give a theory of propositions or like theory of truth, theory of justification, etc. So, that's sort of how it works there. So it's going to be the case that each theory of propositions, it might have different extensions, right? But it's not going to be like completely distinct. Like almost all theory of propositions is going to say that something like let's say my ceiling is white. They're going to say like that's a proposition, right? Like that's not going to really change. So it
I
doesn't.
mean, I understand that. Like, I understand, like, if we're saying, like, okay, well, like, regardless of the view of propositions, right? They would both take it that, like, my ceiling is white. That might be a proposition. Well, I mean, they might take it like differently. Though that's the entire point. Like, think of it like this. Like, well, what I mean to say is, like, let's say we have like a view of like, I'm gonna try to explain this as short as possible. Let's say we have like a view of like a set of like pillows. Like I say, like to be a member of the set of pillows, you have to like be orange, right? Or something like that. And then like somebody says like to be a member of the set of pillows, you have to be like what we like classically know as like a pillow. Right. Now if I like have like a random pillow on my bed, right? And that pillow happens to be like yellow, both of them would identify that it would be under the set. But the methodology of what say we would, right? Say it's gonna be a part of the set, it would be different, right? Like, so that's going to be relevant. They will be very distinct, right? There's two different concepts. There's two different sets. And to be an element of the set, that's really different, right? But they still both identify the same thing under it, right? Just like they might identify the proposition which you just gave, right? That might be, they might identify under both of the views, but that's perfectly fine. They
Yeah,
still
so it's very similar to saying like say someone in English is trying to say my dog is happy, right? And they say, my dog is happy. And then someone in German is trying to say my dog is happy, but like in German, right? Like they're both using like different notions, but they're trying to convey the same idea, right? So it's that's what I'm saying. I don't think uh, your analogy was even analogous. So I'd say that's pretty analogous to what I'm saying, right?
Well, I mean, what the example you gave was just saying, the example you gave earlier, was just saying, okay, well, like they will both like identify like this sort of, let's say, proposition, which is going to be, we can know that P. They will both identify P under the worldview, which is going to be like the worldview propositions. They will both identify P to fall under the worldview, right? And I said, well, that can also happen with like the set example. And the reason why I guess you could say the set example is analogous here is because like given both of the worldviews, like anti-representationalist and representationalist, anti-representationalist might just deny that, like, for example, well, with the anti-representationalist, it's widely different than the representationalist because they might say, well, like all these sort of things which like a representationalist would commit to, they aren't going to be like propositions in my worldview because I might deny the T-in relation or I might deny like propositions are actually going to be like things that represent something. So for me to say, okay, well, like, wait, how would I go about proving something's going to be a proposition? Let's say like I have like a soda can and I say like the soda can is actually here, and then the fact that the soda can is here, that's true, right? It represents some fact about the world. The anti-representationalist would deny that, right? So that's all I'm saying.
Well, okay, real quick, we should let up my great pal Webster
No,
over
he
here.
scares me. He scares me. Please don't let
Oh
him.
no,
He scares
no,
me.
he's
He
he's
scares me.
great. He's great.
Wait, hold
He
on. Not
scares
gonna
me. He
interject.
scares me.
Embers, I'm pretty sure you should have. I'm pretty sure you have mod on your main account, but I'll give you like live recordings on this account.
I'm not embers. I don't know where you got that idea from.
No, that's a
Oh,
lie.
my bad
You already got
my bad
exposed,
for-
bro.
My bad for blasting you.
No, I knew your voice sounded familiar, but I mean that makes sense.
We don't have to
I
make
knew